Alright guys, I was doing some research into lithium ion tools to eventually replace my dad's old hand-me-down DeWalt nickel metal hydride battery tools. These things have been quite strong. They do a good job. Obviously, like most nickel metal hydride tools, they tend to lose strength towards the end of the battery cycle, and they're very heavy and they're quite large. So just in terms of improving things for a bit better productivity, I was thinking, what am I eventually going to replace these with? And also for the potential of like getting, a cordless power saw or some other tools, what system are we going to go with? And at my work, I've gotten a chance to use both M12 and M18 Milwaukee tools, and I was really, really, really impressed by the quality and how powerful they are. And the most shocking part about the M12 tools to me is that they look pretty dinky. They look like they're just for doing household stuff, but at my work, I was very surprised that they were able to do the work of much larger air tools or 18-volt tools. They're incredibly powerful for their size. You really should get a chance to use them, and they're not for really heavy-duty construction use, but for most people's purposes, they will do the job. Now, I think Milwaukee, when they went into doing M12 kits, there's two problems they're trying to attack, which is one, that Milwaukee tools tend to be quite expensive. The quality is amazing, but they are expensive. And so with the M12 tools, they are able to theoretically make some very low-cost entry-level kits, like this one, which is just 200 Canadian dollars. That's like 150 US dollars, and we got it with a free battery from Home Depot. And secondly, the other issue they're trying to tackle, they say, is that because the battery is so small, they can make certain tools so small that they're essentially replacing hand tools. So they're opening up new markets for battery-powered tools. I really like both of these angles, but we ended up going with this $200 kit just to give it a try and to see if it was going to be able to do what we were going to do. But to be honest, I am not totally happy with it. I noticed at Home Depot they had this kit that features the drill driver and impact for $200 that came with a free battery. And then there was another option for the type of impact that we actually have at our work that is a shorter brushless variant that was $200 just by itself with no drill driver. And clearly when you see that, you know that the impact that they're offering for just $200 by itself is clearly a better quality tool. Both of these are brushed, and I'm guessing that the hammer mechanism is simpler and larger in this one, and this might use a higher content of maybe iron pieces rather than magnesium or aluminum pieces. But either way, I was not left feeling that these are a large enough upgrade from what I currently have, surprisingly, right? For such a compact, lightweight lithium-ion tool, when I first brought this out of the bag, I was like, this is really heavy, actually. It's surprisingly heavy. I forget if it's actually heavier than the shorter variant, but the snub nose variant of the Milwaukee 12-volt tools at least have the benefit of getting into some really tight spaces, which this huge impact does not have. So when I picked it up and was playing around with it, I realized that this has got to be pretty close to the DeWalt tool in terms of weight, surprisingly. And the DeWalt tool is a nickel metal hydride battery. The battery probably weighs several times the weight of the Milwaukee battery. Let me see here. This is clearly heavier. It's at least twice as heavy or 3 times as heavy. And I think the tool is actually lighter in the DeWalt case. So that kind of makes me think that they're really cutting the cost on this $200 kit in order to get it into more people's homes and get more people using the M12 system, which is great for some people. I would imagine if you don't have any impact driver or drill driver and you just need a battery powered tool, these could be a great option because the cost is really amazing. It's probably the cost of like a much worse Craftsman or like rigid entry-level set, 18-volt set or something. Now in the case of the drill driver, I think that the weights are much more similar. Both have a clutch, both have 2 speeds. I think the weight is pretty hard to tell. I might have to give it to the Milwaukee in this case. It might be slightly lighter, but it's pretty close. There's not as obvious of a difference, I think. And so, in other words, I know that the Milwaukee tools are going to have they have the Milwaukee quality, they have the level lithium-ion power that won't drop off until the battery is dead. But I'm just left noticing that, these things are quite similar in weight, actually, surprisingly. The battery is obviously smaller, but I want to show you guys one other really shocking thing to me, which is that, and this is one of the biggest downgrades with this set, that is why I think I'm going to end up exchanging it, is that the impact is substantially longer probably a full inch longer than my old DeWalt one. In all other dimensions, I think it is smaller, but the length, total length. Now, when you're using an impact, sometimes you're having to get into a really tight spot, right? You don't want to have a huge thing in your way for doing carpentry and stuff, especially where you're working in corners. I think that for me, given the amount of use that my impact will get versus the drill driver, I don't use drill drivers that much, mainly for drilling little holes. The use that my impact will get really shortchanges this kit to not quite work for me, I think. So what I think we're going to do is that we're probably going to exchange this set for the other one that was eligible for the extra battery, which is just the $200 brushless impact driver that is actually shorter, more useful length, and I'm not sure, but it might be a little bit lighter as well. That would be nice to just have a lighter tool to give you less arm strain and stuff. That's what we're going to do, and later, if I really need it, I can pick up a drill driver, probably for cheap. I'm guessing that you can get a basic Milwaukee M12 drill driver for not that much money, and I don't need a brushless or anything. Any one of them would do the job. So anyway, I just want to give you guys my honest thought. Obviously, I think that the quality is still there. These things would clearly last a long time. They'd be great for somebody who doesn't yet have a drill driver and impact and just needs to do some household work. These will be really great quality, and they are very good value, very competitive. But for somebody who's using an impact a lot, I think you should probably just spring for the extra money and get the snub nose one, either by itself or as a kit. Thanks for watching, guys. So I have now been using my Milwaukee impact for a couple weeks now, I believe, and I just wanted to talk about a few of its upsides and downsides. Overall, I just want to discuss that I actually quite like it. It is even more compact than my old DeWalt, and it is substantially better than the Milwaukee impact that we ended up returning. Its distance here is quite short, so there's a lot of cases where I wanted to remove a screw. We were doing, framing, and there's framing in tight spots, and there's little screws to hold the framing together, and there's spray foam in and around there. And without this thing, I just wouldn't have been able to remove some of these screws that needed to come out. On that topic, I should note that something really good that would go with this is short impact bits. So I'll probably have to go on Amazon and try to find that. The ones I like using are these slightly longer ones, because sometimes you want that length to get the body of the drill out of your way. But in some of these cases where you need to get something really tight, it would be nice to have a short impact bit. So I'll look into getting those. But overall, it's been very nice. It has forward and reverse, obviously. It has 3 speed or strength modes. I'm not entirely sure. I actually do find that useful, and I am using them. For example, where you need to remove something slowly, mode 1 is nice. And then where you just need to rip something out, mode 3 is nice. So you actually do get a speed difference. And then I believe this is for self-tapping. I haven't gotten to use that because I haven't done a lot of metal work yet. But it might, I'm not entirely sure, it might be if you're putting in a self-tapping screw, that maybe it'll stop automatically or something. But it's been robust so far. Battery life is great on these. I haven't had to change the battery an excessive amount of time. I think I've maybe changed the battery twice in like a couple weeks, and it's usually after I've been using it a lot for something. There you go. Let's do one at the faster speed. Okay. Fast. I want to show you guys the Milwaukee M12 impact and an older DeWalt nickel metal hydride batteried 18 volt one, which is the one I've been using up till now. And surprisingly, despite this one being fairly compact in its upper body, this is actually a full chuck shorter than the old one, as you guys can see. In terms of the height of the tool, it is also substantially shorter, as you can see. And in terms of weight, this is lighter. It feels like it's maybe 2/3 of the weight of this one. And probably a lot of that has to do with the batteries. So let's take a look at those very briefly. Look at the difference in the size of these batteries, guys. Really testament to how technology has come along and how lithium ion has been rapidly commercialized. Now, for a lot of you guys who are doing heavy duty construction, you're probably going to want the Milwaukee M18 for the large capacity and higher strength. But for light industrial use, like I'm using, or household use, I think the M12 is such a big bet, is such a big improvement. Like I may have said in some of the earlier clips we did, lithium ion batteries are far smaller than nickel metal hydride batteries and much lighter. So though M18 has a similar form factor to the older type of nickel metal hydride batteries that people are familiar with, M12 really started fresh with the idea of lithium ion and came up with such a small form factor. I feel like M12 uses the concept of lithium ion batteries better in that sense because they redesigned the whole battery profile and system from the ground up rather than just trying to kind of copy the shape and form factor of nickel metal hydride batteries. Long screw. It's actually so long that it's going to go through this, but I want to see how fast these two drills can send it into the wood. Let's try first the old DeWalt. Pretty fast. I'm impressed. Now let's try the Milwaukee. We're going to try it on its top setting, which the DeWalt has no setting, so that's actually a big point towards the Milwaukee is if you want to go slow, you can go slow easily. Let's try the Milwaukee. I don't know, hard to tell. I think the Milwaukee might have been slightly faster, but it's actually pretty close. Okay, so here's another interesting thing. The batteries that I got all look the same, but it turns out that they're different amperages. Now we found this out when we bought my Milwaukee heated jacket, but actually one of the ones that I got for the free deal with Home Depot was a 3 amp hour battery, I believe. This one? Or was it? I believe there was another 3 amp hour battery, yeah. So this thing in its kit came with two 2 amp hour batteries, and then the free one that came with Home Depot was 3 amp hours. So we now have like 3 2 amp hour batteries and 2 3 amp hour batteries. So we have quite a few. More tools than I have, actually. More batteries than I have tools, rather. But yeah, we're quite happy with it. We're going to keep this one, and at some point we'll probably also get the drill and hopefully some other tools. We'll update you guys when we have some more reviews for those. Thanks, guys.